Good evening, and good evening. Welcome everyone to the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast, where I'm your host, Michelle Boulden Hammond. And listen, right now, I'm going to tell you for your good benefit. Look, I'm coming up with your good benefit. I have two other doctors in the house because we know last week all of our wigs got flipped back with the doctors from last week. But I am here tonight welcoming my visionary, my sister's here tonight, the visionary, Dr. Jennifer Bryant is here with us tonight, the visionary that we're going to dig into part two with some more of my co-authors along with myself. Lisa Dove Washington is here with us, and Dr. Shirley Bryant as well. And we're ecstatic to talk about this journey of a step into leadership greatness, leaders producing leaders. Hey, leaders producing leaders. So you're going to want to, like I said, grab like, share, grab some tea because we got a second antidote. We got prescriptions that's going to get filled again tonight as we welcome these ladies. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Jennifer, we're going to be talking about the Step into Leadership Greatness Volume 2 here. You know, last week, can we just go back and recap a little bit from last week?
Please do. I think the listeners and the viewers need to get a little dose, just a little dose.
A little dose. So I can tell you that I want to personally thank the other ladies, Dr. Karen Pruden and Dr. Huntley for last week because the messages that they brought in from last week, and for those who have watched, people you can write in this chat because again, like I said, the antidote is here for the we got prescriptions that here that can get filled because we have some very personal good friends of mine who are knowledgeable and that are leaders, and we want to produce leaders as well. But you know, last week I went to work the next day, and when some of my co-workers were watching, Dr. Karen gave out this acronym, and I think I want you listeners and the audience to realize that, you know, I'm gonna give some of the stuff that they thought about it. I don't know we said this, but when I went to work, some of my coworkers were watching, and they said, "I'm a pimp." And I said, and it kind of startled me, but I was like, "Oh, so you were watching?" They were like, "Yeah, I'm a pimp." I was like, "Okay." I said, "But you know what? What you learned from that is you this pimp that you learned from, but you heard about last night. This is not the kind that's gonna not take your money. It's gonna generate money." And I said, also, if you take those antidote, those prescriptions that she gave out with PIMP, which is the P, plan and prepare. The I, we implement. The M, you monitor. And the P was standing for post debrief. That means if it doesn't work. And this is not the kind where the pimp is going to get tired of you and change you on with somebody else, because you actually get to examine what you have done along this journey. Am I correct, Dr. Jennifer? Give me some more take on that you got from that.
Well, the what I got from that is that number one, I love the acronym because, like you said, it sticks with you, and it's a mnemonic device, right? So and that's how I like to deliver, right? With acronyms to give people something to remember. But the pimp one, it was just really good. Like that whole concept for me is project management and program manager, and I love being in that space. And so that's what I saw. Like you may start off one way of doing something, and then you may have to do a retro to reflect on it to see, okay, what do I need to do differently with this particular piece? But the other piece that I got out of it was the importance of automation. And so, how you can make money while having evergreen products on your website, right? So, whether that's a course or whatever the case may be, while you're sleeping, that's what she emphasized. Like, look, while you sleeping, vacationing on your 9 to 5, people can be going in your in your website on your website and purchase it. I mean, it happens. Like, we are all authors, and you have your website, and I don't know about you, I still get royalty checks. And so that happens while we're sleeping. And so that's what I got from it.
And that is so correct. So, as we're gonna hear from Lisa Dove Washington, because I know Lisa was watching last week. Lisa, get your take on that, about that acronym PIMP.
Well, look, I mean, I was over here taking notes, behind the scenes taking notes. But I mean, it's always a great time listening to that kind of topic. And of course, I do love the acronym as well, just because it's something that grabs people. And I'm a words person. As you all know, communication is my jam. And I think a lot of people don't know how to grab people. So they have wonderful things to say, but they just don't know how to get people to listen. Um, and that is a perfect way to get people to listen and then twist it on them. So I just like the whole setup, because it kind of engages people and they're like interested, even though we feel like we're not supposed to be interested in that word, but I'm interested in that word. And then when she starts to say what each one means, then it's like, oh, okay, because you done kind of snuck them in. And then they don't have no choice because we nosy. So I love what she did with it, and all of it's on point. I mean, I'm down for anything that gets us going on the right track and moving towards that. I mean, Dr. Jennifer talked about making money while you sleep, and I definitely went towards having your own book, being an author, and that's why you work your book, because you do want to be sitting on the beach in Aruba and watching the waves and then getting a little ding ding, and you don't even look no more. You just like, okay, bet I did the right thing. So I say let's keep rolling with that. I loved it. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Shirley. I know last week you had caught some of the replay. I think when we're looking at it, so listen at that. Again, it was the PIMP, plan and prepare. I meant for implement. M is to monitor, and P is to post the brief. What are your take on that?
So I would say I did watch part of it, but I'm a soft skills kind of human resources kind of psychology connection kind of person. So to take all of the acronym of the words and connect it to a personable, below the level person is what I like. The power of connections is just unbelievable. And using an acronym that talks to some of our wildest dreams, like sitting in Aruba and just watching the ding, 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 because you're buying my product and I'm not speaking to you about it, is a power of connection. And I would speak to Dr. Bryant here, even as we begin talking about the book, SIIG, that's my thing, SILG. Leaders producing leaders. Many of my military friends, they're excited because they see that word leaders and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. And I was like, oh gosh, I ain't even have to mention it. You just saw this thing on Facebook and you're asking me, how do I get it? How do I get it? And I was like, the power of connection. The word leader connects to military. And they don't know anything about it, but they just saw the word leaders, developing leaders. Whatever you can do to connect with a person, the power of connection, the power of strategic relationships. That's me. I'm like connecting to people. And whatever that means, it works for me.
All right. So I am telling you, I told you, audience, that there are antidotes and prescriptions that can write for anything for your mind, body, and soul. I actually want to say right now, I want to give a shout out for those who have tuned in. Charlene. We have Charlene who has tuned in. She says, hello, ladies. We have Angela Sullivan. She has says hello. And Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. Woo, woo, woo. Hey, sis, we talking about I'm a pimp. I got people at the workplace saying I'm a pimp. I'm a pimp. And I can see workplace productivity has, in some of the areas as because of that, that initiative affirming those, look, I have to plan and prepare myself. What is it that I have to plan and prepare myself to? And even with this collaboration, thank you, Dr. Shirley, for bringing that portion about communicating and purpose, because there is a reason and purpose behind us collaborating. Now, one of the things that you said just a few minutes ago, you used something that I know that I'm into, the realm of psychology. And Dr. Huntley is in the realm of psychology. And one of the things that happened last week is that we had a person who write in when it was question time, asking a question, and and they bought it. They was like, what do I need to do? Why do I struggle with this? And I will say that Dr. Huntley stood on her word. And that's the thing about leadership. Let me say that again. Woo! When you lead, you breathe, and you do what you say you're gonna do. Now that could be a whole nother show right now and there. That makes you a Pacific good kind of leader, because let me tell you, and we all said that we are here to connect with that person. But you say you can do it, but doing it is doing it. And I will have you to say that Dr. Huntley connected, and it was a good connection. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to be connected to and contribute to connecting people for their purpose, because we all are here about a purpose. It's a purpose why we all have connected into this step into leadership greatness, because again, leaders producing leaders. You lead, but you also have people that follow you. Dr. Jennifer, I want you to, for those who may not have saw last week, can you give a brief, the reason to what inspired you to do this second? Because again, audience, I might tell you now, go buy 10 of the first volume, because that can lead you up here to why the second volume is. But I'm going to let her explain why that the second volume has came to pass.
So for me, it was about being that lighthouse to others, and always being there, standing to help, to impact, to educate, to empower, to inspire, to uplift, and to elevate. And it comes to a point in time when it's no longer about you, right? It's about scaling your leadership. And I knew that there were amazing, amazing women and leaders who were out there really making an impact. And I wanted to have another resource out there to help leaders, because, the first one was leadership isn't just a title. That was the subtitle. And this time, this is about leaders producing leaders. Like, how are you illustrating and demonstrating in ways, and providing tips and tools to help other leaders to lead the way, because we can't be in all places at all times. And so one way, because people ask me, and I'm sure they ask you, Michelle and Lisa and Dr. Shirley, like, how are you doing all these things? How can you be involved in authorship and running a business and potentially working a 9 to 5? How are you able to do that? And my response is scale your leadership, delegate. And, so people are like, what does that mean? Scaling your leadership, delegate, train others so they can go on and make impacts and trust that they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
All right now. So there you got it. Scale your leadership. Listen, we are about to take our first break. I tell you now, I need you to share this video, like, go to the page, subscribe. We're going to be right back with these phenomenal ladies. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back to Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. All right, welcome back to Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul, where I'm your host, Michelle Boulden Hammond, and I am here with the visionary, Dr. Jennifer Bryant, along with the co-authors, myself, Michelle Boulden Hammond, Lisa Dove Washington, and Dr. Shirley Boykins Bryant. I tell you, before we go into different Pacific titles, I tell you, you know what? Last week, I don't even think I even mentioned that. I don't even think I mentioned. I didn't even answer the questions myself. So tonight, you're gonna hear the questions that I asked them. I'll be last, but I'm gonna ask them the questions. I'm gonna answer tonight. So I thought about that. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even address the questions. But
I've been saying to those who are hosting, using their platforms, that you are an author as well.
And I was like, oh my God, I thought about that. And look, that got me to plan and prepare. So I took some of the pimp.
Look at you pimping. Look at you pimping.
And it's all fun. It's all fun. But we discussed briefly, and I actually gave Dr. Jennifer a thing because again, a lot has happened. And in these times, we all, like you said, we work 9 to 5s, we try to struggle with the family business, but you still leading. You try to do, we do much. Our hands isn't everywhere. And I'm telling you, sometimes you take the deep breather, and I'm all about that debriefing and taking that stress management time. But even in this, again, sis, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me, because a lot of people don't know, and I didn't air it out, but my husband had suffered a stroke back in December, the week before Christmas. And I was like, I don't know, but she took in the patient of time with me, because it was kind of hard writing this. And I don't know about any of the other co-authors. I can speak for me. So I'm going to pass that question along to the other co-authors. But it was kind of hard for me because I was trying to be focused. But what I loved about it, and this is another thing and a part of leadership, you got to be able to take criticism as well, constructive criticism, to help you along in your journey. Because I know she knows what I can do, but I truly wasn't like really, because it's just like so much was happening, making sure this is getting done right. But she took the time out to say, hey, sis, take a look at it, because she knows what's inside there. So, with my chapter, Set the Pace, I actually had talked about the role of leadership, which I've done, but I had to take it from another perspective as producing the leaders. And when I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, I had to rethink it. And like you said, I debriefed it, and then it came back excellent. It came back excellent. But that's why I say, be able to admit, be able to admit and give accolades to those, because that's what you call a true found leader. Because you don't, like I said last week, you don't want everybody in your circle that's going to agree with all, because then again, you just have a circle. You don't have what you need to sustain. I wouldn't want everybody on the team that's gonna tell me yes, 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 yes. And I mean, that can go in any sector, workplace, wherever else. I wouldn't want that type on the team that's just going to tell me yes just to say to get it by, because you know what, you're really not projecting substance. I just say it like that. So Lisa, did you find any time with writing your chapter, did you have a hard time writing?
I didn't have a hard time writing, but what I shared with, I think I shared this with Dr. Jennifer, was I didn't see myself as a leader. I hadn't quite defined what I was doing. I was just doing it. And then when we talked and I started to write, I was just like, ugh, I don't know. I never kind of saw myself as a leader. My chapter being without, and stop me, please, Dr. Jennifer, because I know this is where we don't want to share too much, but being kind of an unseen leader kind of connected with the fact that I didn't see myself as a leader. And it wasn't until I got into this process and wrote this chapter that I was like, oh, I guess that is what I'm doing. And I actually started to do some research on those who actually lead from behind or unseen, and you don't realize. I came up with some interesting names. Martin Luther King being one of them. We think on some level that he's not. No, we see him, but the unseen part of it is how he started a movement, but then so many things flourished from that movement. So long after he's gone and people are doing things, they don't really even connect to the fact that that was their motivation, or this is why they're able to do what they're doing. So yeah, that's real unseen. It's like a connection that you just never really figured out. So through this process, that's kind of what I started to. Nelson Mandela was another one. And then it started to, I don't know, I started to feel good about this chapter. I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. And I've always loved the conversation of leadership and things. Like I told Dr. Jennifer, when I think of leadership, her face, if you would in the dictionary, her face would be like, this is me. I think about her immediately. So this was exciting for more than one reason. But yes, I realized some things about how I'm showing up in a good way. I just never defined it until now. And then I realized that there was a place for how I saw myself as a leader, which a lot of people may not resonate with. They think I'm not a leader because I'm unseen. And I'm hoping that I can kind of break some of those barriers. So yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it.
All right. Same question for you, Dr. Shirley. Did you find any areas that, where you just had to look at it and like rethink, like, what is this? And it did. I agree with Lisa too, because it made me think about, because I'm like you, I'm the unseen person. I'm always in the back hand doing the work. But, how about you, Dr. Shirley? Was that anything that for you?
I would say that it began as a former military person, retired, the power of mentorship, that transition to the power of strategic relationships. Because I met Dr. Pruden, I met Dr. Bryant. And because of those conversations, it led me to believe I can do this, from Dr. Pruden to Dr. Bryant. And it transitioned in my mind just the power of strategic relationships that can cultivate leader development opportunities. Because I met them, we didn't have an agenda, but because I met them, it led to me doing something. And it's really that simple when it talks to strategic relationships that build on so much more. I always, often in my workplace, tell people connect. You don't know where the relationship might go. And in back in the day, it was not necessarily what you know, is who you know. And I mean, that's powerful. It's good to know, but it's good to know someone as well. And as I've journeyed on this writing and co-authoring this has resonated in my mind more than ever. I met Dr. Bryant Jennifer through Dr. Pruden, who I co-authored a book with. Then I met her. I had no idea I would be this person today. So I'm always like, talk, 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 walk, 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 step out, do the things that you never in your head thought you would ever do or be able to do. So I'm that person. Just do it. My life coach. Stop talking about it. Just do it.
Be like Nike. Now, Nike, you need. I demand some money because you're getting free advertisement here. But
You might want to wait on that one. I don't know.
hey, hey,
But
like,
hey, nothing hurts to ask. I know that's
nothing.
right.
Not just do it. Just
As my mama used to say, don't hold your breath. Don't hold
That's
your
right.
breath.
Nike gonna owe a whole lot of people. So
you are absolutely right, Dr. Shirley, because I tell you, this is how it happened with me, with connecting with these ladies. It's about connection. And it was through because a lot of people tell me, Michelle, you always across that bridge. I'm like, because I'm not afraid to come across the bridge. I'm like, I got family in the area. So they was like, you always across that bridge. You always going somewhere. I told them, and this is what I tell people today, that bridge is my destiny. Something is linked on that purpose about it. And some of the places that I have been in there. And this is how I ended up meeting Lisa, ended up meeting Dr. Jennifer, and now I'm connected with you because we in SILG too. Woo woo, hands up, hands up. And you said one good, you just do it. And that's what a lot of people say in leadership. Sometimes you got to take the chance and just do it, even if you fail. Can I say that again? It's all right, ladies. Can I say that again?
Absolutely.
Even if you fail, because how you know if it's going to be successful if you don't have to have a try at it. So none of these people who did inventions, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a first time thing for it. So no, even if you fail. But again, that goes back to Dr. Karen's pimp. You post the brief, you look at it, you post the brief, what went wrong, what went wrong into that. So, even with your chapter, what was the kryptonite for that title, for you to come up with that name? What was like that kryptonite? Because we all know that Superman, he can't fit with the kryptonite, but with certain things, it was kind of powerful. So what was that powerful push of
I
being
would say, I'm always saying, oh God, you are so good to me. That is my thing every day. Because I connect with people, and next thing I know, they're taking me under their wings. They're introducing me to other people that I never even phantom I would even know. And I tell my husband, I go, oh my gosh, God is so good to me. That's my thing. Because you don't know, not necessarily that you have a motive or ulterior motive for meeting people and connecting, but you don't know where the connection might lead to your destiny and your purpose. I just believe every day things don't just happen out of the ordinary. They are God ordained if we just move with the spirit. So I'll be like, God, you are so good to me. And when I meet people and they just like Dr. Bryant, I just love her. I wish she was really my sister. I'm an only child, so I always long for that. But I talk about her to people and they're like, some know her because we're in the same sorority. But when I meet women that just like shower me and give me opportunity to grow, they don't know me. She didn't know me, but she gave me an opportunity. And you can't ask for more than that. And I'm just like, God, you are too good to me. That's all I can say, y'all. That is it. He is so good to me. That's all I can say.
I know that's right. I can tell you that. I know that's one of the things is God is good to me as well, honey. Because honey, if the situations could have been the other way.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been the other way. Because we all got some stories. It could have been the other way. And when I look at that, I'm like you with that word opportunity. I grab every opportunity that's God ordained. Hold up. Let me go back with that one. Because not every opportunity is a good opportunity. You heard what I said. I claused that one. I grab the opportunities that are God ordained, and you will know when they're God ordained. Because let me give you a good example. I shared with Lisa earlier today, and like you said, you in the unseen. Now, to some, this may be just like a little opinion of a little podcast, but hey, the podcast can do great things that you have no time. As Dr. Jennifer, can you give them what you say? You always being what?
Interview every day, right?
Every day.
Every single day, whether you
Every
realize it or not.
you got that so right. You have that so right. Listen, and I now you're getting the exclusive detail on this one. So apparently I'm like, okay, these podcasts is out on YouTube or whatever else. Well, I've got connected with someone that asked me about going or coming on the show. Now this is a top person in India, Calcutta. And let me tell you, when you're talking about God ordained, and I didn't tell Lisa this part of it, and I'm getting chills, talking about it. When I spoke to the person yesterday in India, she was sharing to me what she is, and she said she's about women empowerment. She didn't even know that sector of what I did with women empowerment. She was like, I do 3 areas. Education is first, mental health is second, and women empowerment. And when I say this woman has been awarded World Peace Awards, everything, she's connected with me. And one of the things I shared with her, and when you say it's God ordained, first thing she said, God bless you. I said, I said, all right, now we working in there. So I got a little bit talking more, and we got there talking. She said, yeah, it'll be nice for you to come to Calcutta. I said, But here's the key. Several years ago, I was given a dream, me standing in India. I didn't tell Lisa that part, but I told the lady that. She said, oh, well, that's no problem. It's going to come to pass there. Now, this is somebody I had no idea who had been watching, interviewing. So that's what I'm saying when you're talking about leaders. I'm thinking I'm like behind the scenes, but someone tapped in into that. So I don't know, y'all. I might be in India. I don't know. I gotta get them shots and stuff. But hey, and let the Lord, if it's the Lord's will, I'll be in Calcutta. Hey, I mean, and that's what it is. Step into leadership greatness. Leaders producing leaders, volume 2. So we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back because we're going to be talking about leaders checking your control and your impulses. So that is going to be on our second half. Okay. So go grab yourself something to drink, like and share, add a few couple other people on, and we'll be right back. Front Mind, Body, and Soul, where I am your host, Michelle Boulden Hammond, and I am favored here with these wonderful, phenomenal ladies. Dr. Jennifer Bryant, who is the visionary behind the Step into Leadership Greatness, Volume 2, Leaders Producing Leaders. I'm here with one of the co-authors, Lisa Dove Washington, and I'm also here with Dr. Shirley Boykins Bryant, and including myself. I'm not leaving myself out as well. I am one of the co-authors as well. So, ladies, we know in our role of leadership, whoo, we have had a great deal of things that we have to deal with in being in leaders. Um, so as well, we know we have a situation with the Oscars the other night between Chris Rock and Will Smith. Um, control and impulses. Those are some of the topics, and that's been I've breathed that with my group to yesterday and today with the control and impulses. So in your roles as leaders, can you? I'm gonna start with Dr. Jennifer with this because this is one of her areas, control and impulses, especially when we are in that leadership role, because again, you know, Oscars, that's like a heavy, huge hitter thing. Like you are the prestige elite. I mean, you can whatever, you'll go down in history. But you can control what you can do with that impulse. So something got out of hand. Let's hear your perspective on that as a role in leadership.
What I will say is that I look at those two words as respond versus reacting. And it takes great constraint and control. We all have, I don't know if I want to use the word trigger, but we all have something that will cause us to want to react. And as leaders, you have to quickly think about there are others who are watching me. And it goes back to you are interviewing every day, whether it's your peers, if it's your children, if it's your parents, um, if it's your mentees, it's a lot of folks who are watching you. And in that big public arena, I feel like there was a build up of something that was there. And it was a place of uncomfortableness, right? And people talk about how Will Smith was laughing at first, right? I've looked at it several times. But then when he looked over, possibly or potentially, because we didn't see the camera at that point, but
Right.
we are assuming when he looked over, Jada, went from laughing to, okay, he touched on something I'm not particularly happy about. And he went into protection mode, as people call it. And there could have been different ways to protect. There could have been different actions that Will could have done, right? He could have he could have used body language to Chris Rock and like cut that out, like, man, that's not cool. And then talk to him backstage afterwards. He took time to get up, and I watched it several times again because there were a lot of feet he had to walk, right? That was a lot of area that he had to walk. And some people said, well, maybe Jada should have, grabbed him and told him, no, no, babe, don't do that. At that point, she probably was like, okay, she knows her husband. Let me not, get in the middle, maybe. But he walked up there, and then what Chris Rock did, and I'm not defending what he did in terms of the joke, because, sometimes comedians can be very tone deaf, right? I know it's about laughter and all that other good stuff, but some things areas you don't cross. And Chris Rock went into respond mode. His body language was, I'm going to put my hands behind my back, and this is how I'm choosing to respond. So then it made Will look, however you want to call it, worse, because you're hitting a guy that's not even trying to defend himself.
Mm.
And then, Will had to also think about he's walking back to his seat. Now, as Dr. Karen said, there are different ways and actions to communicate. There was a lot of body language that went on. There was physical, right? We don't condone physical violence. And Will didn't think about the bigger picture. As a leader, you always have to think about the bigger picture. what type of impact am I having right now? Am I illustrating and demonstrating behaviors of a top actress? And I'm thinking about, oh my God, am I coming off as an angry black man? Like, how many times do we have this in history? We were making history here, right? We were making history, and he was at a pivotal point in his career, and whether he realized it or not, that one mistake where he spent a lifetime, his adulthood building, right? That one mistake may set him back for years, right? Yes, they apologize, but all of us who are in the corporate space know this is all part of protocol, right? Y'all better go out there and apologize, right? Put it in writing. And I'm sure that, the Oscars or whomever, the owners are going to deal with it behind the scenes, or they may deal with it publicly. But this set the stage like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's where I am, Michelle. There's so many aspects, and people keep talking about, oh, I know I said what I said, in terms of what we would have done if we were in that case. Now, what I just said was talk you through what I saw. If I was in that situation, it probably would have took me a minute to kind of control myself.
Mhm.
And there have been instances in my leadership journey where I did react. Step into leadership one talks about that in my introduction. And my bad response set me back over a year, and I had to rebrand myself, and that's tough.
Mhm. Mhm. Same for you, Dr. Shirley. Your view and intake on those words. And Dr. Karen, she has put PR 101 is apologize. Dr. Karen, is that a book? Is that a book? PR 101 apologize.
Apologize.
I also want to say before you speak, Dr. Shirley, I want to say I see Derek. Thank you for joining in, Newkirk, and also for our Archie sister, Kimberly Teeterton. Thank you so much for joining in on us tonight. And others who are there, Tanya Sherwood, my sister here. Yeah, Dr. Shirley, how about that? One of the things, and like you say, for psychology and stuff. And Jennifer just spoke about the word on trigger, because there has been some instances that Weldon had to dig because 2 weeks prior to that, him and her was on a red carpet, flowing, at this event, and here goes the lady from the Cyrus XM station says, "Oh, well, here is the power couple of Will and Jada Smith. So tell us how the entanglement's going on."
Well, I would say, Michelle, because of this very action and event of those types that I have committed and have witnessed, I am an emotional mindfulness and awareness coach. You've got to be aware. We can step out any day of the week. We represent every Black woman anybody will ever meet. That's not fair, but that's reality. And restraint is everything. I mean, who doesn't every day have something going through their mind and want to respond, but then step back and say, I'm always being watched? At least those are the words I say to myself and to my one only son. Son, restraint is everything. You don't always have to say how you feel. When I was a drill sergeant, I would lean over to those young soldiers and say, let me tell you, after this is over, I got something for you. And we commenced to moving it forward. But it's everything. We're always being watched, we're always being judged, and everything we do, respond, react, is something that sets the stage for the one behind us. And our children are watching. How is
Yes.
mommy? When you see Miss Jackson sitting before the Congress being grilled, her daughter is sitting back there looking so proud at mommy, even though she knows they are being very disrespectful. But look at my mom. She's sitting up straight. She's smiling, but you don't know what's going through her mind. But that's not what's going to come out of her mouth because she realizes at that very point she is representing us all, whether she decided or wanted to do that or not. Those are things we've got to keep in mind. I mean, later, catch Chris Rock at the bar. Y'all have a drink, then punch him out. Nobody cares. You're both drunk. You got an excuse. But to get up, to walk to the stage and be very aware of what you're going to do, whole different protocol. And people said it that way.
Exactly. And Lisa, look, lunching with Lisa.
Look, you know what's funny is I didn't watch. My husband actually kind of said, "Hey, have you heard what's going on?" And it saddened me at first to hear it because I think this is, to me, this is part of the problem that we just have as a whole. That everything that happens is in, and I generally call it like a pop off. We're all just kind of popping off. We're free to say whatever we want to say. We do whatever we want to do. All this entitlement to react to our feelings and emotions, which, you know, some of you ought to know me. This is just, communication is everything. You are communicating even when you are silent. And I watch a lot of eye movement behaviors, things like that, which could probably dictate to you what people are getting ready to do. And as Dr. Jennifer was saying, when I did watch it, um, I I felt like there was some consciousness to what he was about to do. And I also felt that Jada knew that. And I think it's because of the facial expression after he did it. He was almost proud of what he had just done. And I thought it was just sad. And I had mixed emotions about it. I get it on the protection part of it, but I also thought, so when your children grow up and they start to interact with people and someone does something that they don't like, which is inevitable. Many people are going to do things that you don't like, and hands-on is probably always never the option. There's always something else. And if you take, which is something I've always talked about, is take that moment. Just one moment could change the way you, as Dr. Jennifer said, react to a situation. And we just never take that moment. What's sad is that I think he took several. And on the grand scheme of things, I think he thought that this would be they'll look at this way. I think hindsight, it may kick in that was probably not the best way to do that. And on some level, I don't know that they will actually, I'm praying that they will heal from that, but it's going to be hard. I think on surface, it's going to look like that everything is cool. But I've always thought about, from the moment I saw the video, what Chris Rock is feeling at this moment, because on some level, when you're friends and you're connected, even in the moment of making a wrong move or saying something, is this how you really respond to me as a friend? Imagine if that wasn't somebody he knew. And how many times do we sit in a room and have people say things to us, and if we all reacted to it, it would be a brawl all over the world. You know what I'm saying? And take it a step further, what if he had responded the same exact way? What narrative would that have been?
Yeah, I thought about that, Lisa, too, because I'm like, he actually put everybody in attendance at risk, in my opinion. Because if they both were brawling and people were trying to break it up, and then you just never know in this world what people are carrying, right? And so, and who's in the audience, right? And so, yeah.
It was just a horrible thing to witness, and because of the narratives that are set for us before we even walk in the door, and then sitting on this type of stage, it's kind of like, just a moment of thought to say, as I thought, Dr. Jennifer, my husband and I talked about it and said, that was just a moment when he could have said a little, cute remark at his chair, and then met him backstage and said, look, we can't do that because, and then here's the thing, when you're a leader or you're in that position, you open yourself up to a whole lot of criticisms. There's been worse things I've heard said all over the internet long before the Oscars. Okay. Yeah. And nobody seemed to be that upset for that. So I'm trying to think where people's level sitting at, because priority is everything to me. It's like, so You mean to tell me there's nothing else you've heard in the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm not going to be specific with it, that hasn't got you in a space where you want at least felt like that, and this is what made you pop off. So yeah, it's a sad thing to see, but I'm hoping that they heal from this. I'm actually hoping that everybody who watched it heals, because on some level,
Right.
there's
It
going to
can
be some
traumatize.
repercussions.
It can
Absolutely.
traumatize. It can really actually traumatize
Will was
people.
a hero for some kids, and now,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
whose dreams did you crush at that moment,
Mhm.
or whose path did you change, and now that they will think that that's the way I can respond, and people will
Mhm.
rally around me and say yes, so
Right.
we got to think
Right.
about what we do
I love
as
Dr.
leaders.
Karen. Yeah, you're right. I like Dr. Karen's thing, what she said, because I said the same thing as Dr. Karen just said. Dr. Karen said they disinvited Kanye to prevent drama, and then Will popped off. Exactly. It didn't come in the way. It didn't come in the way that they thought it was gonna come. See, that's why we got to be so careful of us in these leadership roles, and because again, if we're a bad leader and we call ourselves producing leaders, those leaders behind us is going to imitate what? Us, correct? So you better be careful on how you lead. That's just how it is. Just be careful on how you lead. So look, we got a few more minutes left, ladies. We got like 8 some more minutes left. So I'm gonna spread out these words because these were like what I saw out of the book. So, and it's like with this team, because we're all a team now, because even with SILG1, it's going places, and we know this is going all over the world as well. We know how the connections and all of us connected. And like for Dr. Shirley, she said she was a drill sergeant. So you say your Army friends will need it. You never know. This might be something that the Army might pick up. I'm just looking at it like different ways and different perspectives, corporately. Jennifer there is with Capital One and stuff like that. She's already doing things in Capital One. Lisa and ourselves, we're with the media plus. You never know what's gonna be in abundance in that. So as with us doing this, explain what the word cultivate means to you. Now, I'll start for cultivate means that you're pruning down, you weighing out. It reminds me of how when you had that flour and you had those little dots and stuff, and you take that stuff from the ship, you cultivating. So you're making the mix, but you're also weeding out the dangerous particles that can be involved. So that's like with me with cultivate. How about you, Lisa?
Well, I mean, to me, what I think about when I think about that is the more we pour into ourselves and deal with us first and cultivate ourselves will dictate how you show up in the world and how you move through other people. Self-awareness is just like the thing, and I think that that's what you should be always, and it's a daily activity.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just do it tomorrow and then say, okay, I'm finished, I met my goal. No. Every day you should be cultivating and working towards a better you. And then I think things start to fall into place because you learn that response versus reaction for self. And then it kind of doesn't matter what other people do because you're actually worked on yourself. So you don't get caught up in those kind of things. So yeah, that's what it means for me.
So, Dr. Shirley.
I would say growth and producing, because like plants, fruit, vegetables, there are just some fruits, no matter how you weed and prune and put manure on them, it's not going to grow. But they're just they're those fruits and vegetables and people that they are going to grow. And sometimes pouring into a specific person doesn't lead to growth because maybe it's not their season. Like different fruits and vegetables grow in different seasons. You can pour into it, but it's not the season for their production or for their growth. And then there are those that you pour into, it's their season because they're going to produce fruit and they're going to grow. You shall know them by their fruit.
Fruits. All right now. And we on a good fruit production line. Jennifer, Dr. Jennifer, what about you with the cultivate?
What I will say is this, and look, I'm not here on official Capital One business. Let me make sure I say that. The what I will say is, plus one to everything everyone has said, right? Like I'm in total agreement. And cultivation is about and I think one of you all have said it, like developing. And while you're developing, there's a sense of consistency that's there too. Just like you talk about watering those plants, there's a cycle and a frequency of how often you're doing that. And we talked a lot about connection here. And so cultivation for me personally is putting the work in
Mhm.
to grow whatever relationship that's out there. And so for me, cultivating and fostering and nurturing, all three of those go together for me in terms of developing relationships, because it's not like a one and done. And I believe Dr. Shirley talked about that, the importance of strategic relationships, and it's about mutual benefits, right?
Mhm.
And ways that you can help each other and not appear as an opportunist, but you're asking the person who you're talking to, I want to cultivate this relationship. I want to know, how can I support you?
All
How can
right.
I help you? Right? How can I help you?
Yes, most definitely. Well, ladies, I can't believe this that hour done went by so quick because we had again. You done got a lot of antidote and prescriptions filled here tonight. So if you want to catch the replay, do that because it is some good, wonderful nuggets here. And I'm excited for the SILG Volume 2 Leaders Producing Leaders because I cannot wait to have mine to put it in my look. To put it in my look them here, look them here's over here. Look them here, look them here's. So, ladies, again, it's been a pleasure to have you. But before we tune out tonight, Dr. Jennifer, can you tell the audience where they can find you and, follow up? Because look, it's coming.
It's definitely coming. And you'll see me spotlighting more authors over this next week. I'm excited about doing that piece. But you can find me on all social media platforms as Dr. Jennifer Bryant, or Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant. And Instagram is Reaching with Them.
All right, there's everyone. Social media stuff will be Lisa, the Washington. Tell the audience where they can find you.
So you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yes, I do hang out on TikTok every now and then. You got to keep up with them. But no, you can find me out there or at my website, lisadovewashington.com, for more information on this wonderful collaboration that I'm excited about. And just to Dr. Jennifer, I wanted to mention that thank you so much for allowing me to be able to spread the word as well. And it's been a pleasure to work with everybody, Michelle and Dr. Shirley. I've met so many wonderful people. And now I have a definition of leadership that applies to me. So I thank Dr. Jennifer for that because I didn't have that before. So
See, told you. So look, I told you it's a lot of antidote prescription fills. Look, and you can get a refill. You can get a refill. All right, Dr. Shirley, you're next. Tell the audience where they can find you.
Actually, I'm there. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can find me anywhere.
All
Social
right.
media.
Social media. And I would like to say, Lisa Dove Washington, you can actually follow her with Luncheon with Lisa on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Right, right here on the Facebook, YouTube, and and Spotify. You can look. Let me tell you, all of these little things you can do. It's good resources. This is here is a powerful resource, a powerful work network, especially if you want to drop down and get your leadership on. So
how about
that's
that?
That's what I'm saying. So, ladies, thank you so much for coming on. Again, the platform for anything that you guys need from me, I am here to use this platform as always for inspiration. And to you, audience, thank you guys so much for tuning in and being supportive to this podcast. Thank you so much. You don't truly know how much this was, because you know what? I like you say, people unseen. I get to work in the morning. People say, well, I was up watching the replay. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm enjoying to hear, that stuff is changing and changing people's mindset, and they're growing into what their purpose is to be. Okay, so until next week, we are moving into April already. These months are rolling. And with April, there is Minority Health Month. So I have something coming in back with Samara Self-Care Corners. And look, that's another thing. Tell them, Lisa, they're getting free counseling services for 1 hour. Look, get some of the stuff that you trigger. You got a whole self-care corner that you can have for a whole hour for free that will be coming up next month. So to the audience, if no one else has told you that you are loved, I love you from here, from the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. Until next week, I'm your host, Michelle Boulden Hammond. Have a blessed week.